First of all, the Managing Director of Shbeemann Consulting from Germany, Mrs. Lina Shabeeb. Hello. Welcome to Skillman, welcome to panel number 2. Next up, Director of International Cooperation and Development at the Public Administration Academy of the Republic of Armenia, Mrs. Tereza Kechoyan. Tereza, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Welcome on the stage. Please do take a seat. Next up, Principal Education Specialist of Human and Social Development Sector Group at Asia Development Bank, Mrs. Shanti Jagannathan. Shanti, are you here?
She will be online.
She should be online.
She will be online.
She will be online. Shanti, if you can hear us, please do say hello.
Yes. Hi, I've got my video on in case you can see me.
Thank you, thank you. We can hear you. Probably we can turn up the sound a little bit more so Urs can talk to you. Next up, let's welcome on the stage member of the International Board in charge of China Council at Skillman, Mrs. Cloud Bai Yun. Welcome, welcome on this stage. Next up, let's welcome Professor of Education at the Education University of Hong Kong and Director of the UNEVOC Center, Mrs. Margarita Pavlova. Margarita, welcome. Welcome. And last but not least, President of International Vocational Education and Training Association, Mr. Julian. Welcome, Julian. The last seat is yours. Urs, take it away.
Many thanks. I'm sitting here. Julian, can you sit here, please? Okay.
That's okay. It's all.
Huh? Really? Yes, but otherwise I'm eaten.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Okay, so I will a little bit change the setting, that you have a very other possibility as well to see these high-level experts we are getting here. And I'm very honored that we have such interesting persons coming and traveling to Latvia. And I say what I want to like from you now. So please give me in around, I say, 5 minutes, a brief up about the expert fields where you are from. So I want to hear a little bit about the expert field internationally where you're working in. And then please describe as well in this presentation about the future, of course, how you see this field. And don't forget, otherwise I will ask you, so I maybe interrupt you in your presentation, but I want to hear as well about the problems. It's not an easy go to the future. And please show us as well about the expected problems and about the impact that should maybe or could maybe create. I repeat again. Describe, please, your expert fields. Show to the future in this expert fields. Say us a bit about the problems and about a possible or wished impact for the future. And I want to start with Lina. I'm going through the row of the program. If you could start, please.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation and the wonderful Latvian hospitality today. So my name is Lina Shabeeb. Originally I'm from Lebanon, but I'm working now out of Berlin, Germany, and we are a consultancy firm specialized in education, working internationally, doing multiple things. So I'm just setting the context of the background. When we decided to bring this consultancy together was to become more of a bridge, which is today around networking. As a consultancy, we also wanted to be a bridge between general skills and specialized education expertise. I think there's a bit of an echo. Is it okay? Is it better like this? Yeah. Okay. And to bridge the gap between, capacity building and empowering the institutions or the regulators as well, and bringing more tailored solutions to the context where all the education institutions and regulators are working. So this is kind of, so we have been working a lot on transformational projects in countries around the world that are going through transitions. A lot of my work has been in the Middle East, but also Central Asia and a bit of South America. And in terms of skills development, it's quite broad and diverse, and it's hard to just speak from one perspective about it. But in terms of the future, what I am seeing for that is that I think there's more self-empowerment, whether it was around for the students or for the teachers, and a more going back to the roots of and fundamentals of education, I would say. People are the owners of their paths and their career paths, and we should keep that in mind when we are creating the future. And especially with the coming generation, again, coming from the Middle East, the majority of us are young. So it's there, we don't have the aging problem, as we have the youth, dealing with the youth and giving them what they want, listening to them. And that's why I say they need to be heard and they need to be more self-empowered. And in most cases, they are coming with much more knowledge. They have access to things we didn't have before in the past. And I think the most important skill would be I'll borrow it from the artistic side, curation of everything. So how are we allowing the students to curate all of this portfolio of skills that we are telling them you have to build? We don't want it to just be something that we put in a shelf or a digital portfolio, I guess, in the future. How are we helping them curate everything they're learning and apply it in different contexts, in different situations? And this is what I see will be the challenge for the future. It's like a human ChatGPT. You have all of the information, but how will you put it together, adding your human touch to it? So this is what I see the future. It's more towards human liberation, I would say. With using technology, you're able to do more things, focus on the more interesting things. And I don't think we should know it all, but how can we bring it when we need it? How can we use it where we need it? And how can we keep the collaborative work around it? What the third question was about, the challenge?
The impact.
Impact. I think the impact of skills.
Yeah, the impact of your expertise field for the future. What is needed, where you can see an impact, and what we are changing with this.
I think the impact is to have more mobilizers, more catalysts, more middle people. I don't want to call them middle, but we have a lot of the general, the expertise, but again, it's around the bridges. So the middle people are the ones that are usually misunderstood. Like, oh, where do you fit in the system, But we need them because they're able to bring all of these skills and projects and people together, cross-sector, cross-culture, cross-generation. And this is the impact. I think also, I'm happy to see that all of the future is about being cross something. But as a consultant, from my personal experience, the joke is, a master of all is a master of none. But I think they are the curators of all. They're the people who are able to bring it together. And this is the future of education and the impact we will have.
Many thanks. I explain why I'm speaking about impact. Within the Bologna process, that means since 20,000, we have developed a new field of outcomes, from the content to the outcomes. Now, we are in the situation that we want to look to the future, and we want to have a good future, not only a future. That means now we have the chance to do more than only change management real transformation for the future. And I, as a professor, would speak about metamorphosis of this change. And therefore, I think it is important that we are planning that and that we are looking to a future which we want to impact and to make the world a bit better, you know. So, Tereza, what do you think? How you see this from your region?
I'm from Armenia. Thank you very much for inviting me to this international forum and giving this opportunity to share my experience. I'm from the Public Administration Academy of the Republic of Armenia. I'm the Director for International Cooperation and Development. At the same time, I'm a professor, associate professor of the Chair of Public Administration. I'm an economist. I'm teaching cost-benefit analysis, business planning, and time management. The mission of my academy is to educate for the future policy makers and decision makers, future public administrators. And we are trying to do our best with the support of different international organizations. It is my job, and I'm a coordinator of several projects. We are working with SIDA, Canadian International Development Agency, the World Bank, OSI, European Commission, Erasmus Plus program, capacity building for higher education, also Jean Monnet activity. Currently, we are doing a project with South Korea. This is connected with our subject on women entrepreneurship. How to enhance women skills and knowledge in entrepreneurial activity, in entrepreneurial skills and activities. Our partner in Korea is United Nations Economic and Social Commission, Asia and Pacific Center for Information and Communication Technologies. So within this project, we developed 5 modules in 3 tracks. The first one is core enabling core content, women empowerment, and also enabling the role of ICT for women. And second track is entrepreneurship for women. ICT, business planning using ICT, and business management using ICT. And the third track is for policymakers, enabling environment for business, women entrepreneurship for policymakers. So now we finished, and I reviewed these modules 3 times each module. It was a very hard work, but I have to say that we got a good result, and we have trained in Armenia women entrepreneurs and those who want to start a business, women. At first we organized some TOT, training of trainers, to have more trainers who will be able to teach these 5 modules to Armenian women entrepreneurs. And then we are doing these trainings for women. So regarding the impact of this project is enhancing women self-confidence and their role in the family, not only as a child caring responsibilities, but also earning money and become more educated and more confident in business.
And when you are now looking to the future?
More competitive in the business in market.
Yeah. And when you are now looking, that's great, and I like that. And I saw this big expertship you are having. where you can see now in your expert field the future.
Can you explain the question?
Well, yeah, I think what you said is that what you're doing now since years, and I like that.
Yes.
And how, when you should look to the future, where you can see there are changes, or what is changing in your expert field?
Each project aims to have some positive changes in the life, in the practice. So this is, as this project is for the women entrepreneurs, we anticipate, and we see just some seeds of the project result, that more and more women are interested in trainings, in getting these skills and knowledge, and to start their own businesses.
And I saw that today here in the conference. I was astonished to see so many high-class women in important positions, and I like it much. But I was astonished. I didn't expect it that. And so I think women entrepreneurship, women leadership, women executive activity will be maybe bigger in the future. What do you think?
I think so. You're right.
And where are the problems? Are the problems that we have to convince the men for that?
The problem for that? The main problem is just, I think, psychological aspect.
Yeah, I understand, and I think we all understand. Give me an applause for this. Very good. Many thanks, Tereza. Very interesting. And I want to go now around the world. I think to Manila. Shanti, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. We are working over distance since years together, and I want to hear now from you as well. Give me an information about your activity and your field of expertise, and about your thoughts to the future and where you are expecting problems on this way to the future.
Thank you, Chair, and hello everyone. I'm happy to join this forum virtually. Thanks for the invitation. I'm happy to join nearly 10,000 kilometers away from where you are right now. I'm a principal education specialist. My name is Shanti Jagannathan. I work for Asian Development Bank, which is a regional bank working with a number of government entities in the Asia and the Pacific region in a number of sectors. I work in the education sector. And as part of the education sector, we have operations across the whole ecosystem, starting from K-12 to TVET and to higher education. TVET has traditionally been a very strong component of our education operations, more than a third of our operations in the region. If I just total up our ongoing projects and programs in the region, the Asia Pacific region, they are in the education sector, they are valued at about 6.6 billion. About a third of that, or a little over 2 billion, has been allocated to improve the quality, relevance, and the impact of technical and vocational education and training and skills development. Much of what we do is to really enhance access to education and skills development opportunities, particularly focusing on vulnerable groups, people from disadvantaged communities, from remote locations, women, youth with disabilities, and with all kinds of disadvantages, increasing access to training, skills development, and skills for jobs is one of the biggest outcomes we like to see in our program. And we have programs across 20 to 24 countries in the region. Much of what we do is to build competitiveness in specific sectors through investing in skills development, and also in recent years to help countries to move up the value chain in terms of being able to offer higher order technical training, including at tertiary level. So we've supported investments in actually developing a greenfield skills university, and have also invested extensively in polytechnics and so on. Some of the objectives we really pursue are that there is greater employment, greater employability, there are improved job placements, closer collaboration with the private sector, and to be able to invest in the skills needed for specific sectors in the private field, important for economic growth. So we look at employment-intensive growth, but in industries that matter for the overall economic growth as well. We look at accessing skills for jobs in these particular areas of high growth and high importance for economy. Talking about challenges, I think what the region experiences is that there's a strong mismatch between skills and jobs. So on the one hand, you have a dual problem in the sense you have people looking to employ people with skills that do not exist, and training institutions are developing people with skills that seemingly are not relevant for the market. So there's a mismatch between training institutions and the market. So some of our recent studies have also amplified this particular challenge that we need to address. The other challenges are high youth unemployment in most of the countries, developing countries that we work in. Youth unemployment tends to be much higher than average unemployment. And access to skills that lead to quality jobs is a challenge. A high proportion of the labor force in the developing countries that we work in happen to be in informal sectors. So we really want to kind of invest in skills to help them to move from informal, low-paid, and vulnerable occupations to formal jobs with social security and benefits. So going forward, we see that investing in skills alone will not be enough to assure long-term returns and gains for the workforce. We also need to strengthen our labor market policies, active labor market policies that help to translate the investment made in skills into positive labor market outcomes for all, but particularly for vulnerable groups, including women. We want to see women being able to access skills that will help them also access higher quality jobs, particularly skills in digital occupations. A series of studies that we did on the implications of the fourth industrial revolution in about 7-8 countries showed that women are at a disadvantage in being able to access jobs in workplaces that are transiting to the fourth industrial revolution workplaces or driven by technology. The digital transformation is occurring at great speed, even in developing countries, therefore calling for more investment in that area. We did a joint study with LinkedIn to also map the sort of emerging issues in sectors like smart cities, green economies, e-learning. So we find that there's need to do more for women. There's also need to invest more and more in advanced digital skills that are in tune with the changing nature of time.
I like this, what you're saying, and how you're pointing to the possible changes in the future as well in the work field and in the markets. Where do you see the problems which we will go through?
Some of the problems I just outlined to you, which is the skills and jobs mismatches the fact that training institutions are not very much in alignment with what the market needs or what the employers need. Great inequity in access to training and quality jobs, and also limited access to training and skills development in higher order technology-driven occupations. Because if the base level, foundational levels are not strong, being able to invest in skills development for STEM-related occupations are going to be challenged. So some of that we need to really, see a way to upgrade the foundational training and the foundational level of the workforce in the developing countries that we work in. We also would like to see the challenge of investing more closely in sectors that matter for the future, that match with the economic aspirations of the country.
Very many
thanks. To look at on the social side, investing in things like skills for the care economy and so on that brought to the fore to COVID.
Very many thanks, Shanti, and very many thanks that you came on board from the other side of the world. But I think it is important as well that we have people here in the expert field with her expertise about the markets of the future, because we are, as we heard, we are looking and going in that direction, and we are developing the skills for the future to the markets and to the workforce, of course. I want to go over to Dr. Claude Bayoun. Claude, can you please go through the same route I described? Yeah, it should be. Take it and speak.
Can you hear me? No. Is it on? Is it on now? Hello? Yes. Oh, this is better. Hello, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. My name's Claude Bayoun. Can I just say I was given the name of Cloud years before cloud technology came into our lives, and it's quite important. Just for your information, I'm the chief advisor to the UK UNEVOC since Brexit. UK UNEVOC previously was the UK NARIC until 2021. In terms of what I do, I have to say I liked Giovanni's comments this morning when he said his parents don't understand what he does. My mama is the same. However, I overheard her saying to neighbors when they asked, so what exactly does she do, her daughter? She said, I don't know, but she's doing something with the qualifications, and I think she's very big with that as well. And I thought, Mama, you're quite right. Pretty spot on. So that's what we do as the agency. UK UNEVOC NARIC is the UK's designated agency representing the United Kingdom, forming part of the UNEVOC NARIC networks. As some of you probably are aware, UNEVOC NARIC is one of the largest networks of information providers in the recognition of the international qualifications. So that's what we do. We recognize, compare, and benchmark international qualifications from over 196 countries and overseas territories. That's what we do, and we publish information on the education training systems, as well as titles, qualifications produced by each of the systems. So that's what we do, and with that you probably have deduced our experience, expertise, and our contributions to the world. Now, quickly coming to your second question, was very keen to identify problems. But rather than talking about problems, which we have many, I'd like to answer your question from a slightly different perspective, particularly based on our very recent experience. Very recently, we just completed a major field trip to China and India, and the findings from this trip were most helpful indeed.
I have to add that our friend Giovanni was with Cloud on the China trip, or of one part
Yes.
of the China trip.
Yes, it was brutal, wasn't it? So very quickly, coming to mind, and based on the observations from the recent trips, was the following. The first one is the integration of business and education. It's nothing new here. I think Europe, and particularly Baltic states, have been doing fairly well in this aspect. However, the integration of industries and education is pressing, particularly in the post-COVID era. Now, why is it important for the industry and TVET educational chemmunity? Because we now need to urgently work together to identify the changed, and the emerging new occupations, professions, so that we can together rework occupational standards, making sure they are reflected in the new curricula, in the way we teach, in the way we train people. So that's very important. And furthermore, the work we do together would then need to be cascaded down to reach much wider community of the world. I don't have to repeat this. As you all know, the world is developing at different pace. So we need to recognize common features, but localize them to move the world forward. And the second thing, I think, again, not to answer your question directly, it's the reconnection. I note and appreciate Skillman, SIF 23's theme. It's about networking potential. I think this is very timely. We need to reconnect ourselves with the marketplace, with industries, and we need to do a little bit more than that, because it's not just about shaking hands properly and being reconnected again. It's about us working together to reconfigure world resources in skills, and together we can then develop adequate skilled workforce for the world and the future. And connecting these two together, I can't emphasize enough how important it is for us to be reconnected with the real world and take a critical look of what we do and move the world with us forward. Does that sound?
Sounds great.
Answered your questions?
Yeah, of
okay,
course.
Thank you.
And I like as well, of course, that you has given the questions to you which are important for you. So I think we are deciding the priorities for the future. And when we are deciding the priorities, we then as well has to make the needed effectiveness for a good future. So, Julian, did I have, oh, Margarita. Sorry.
That's okay. And I want to start my sharing with a very short 10-second video, if you can put it on the screen.
Good morning, esteemed colleagues and members of Skillman community. The theme of today's panel is skills for the future and the role of networks in their development. My contribution will focus on digital and green transformation and why we need to work together for this cause. This welcome message is an example of generative AI aimed at convincing us of the importance of these transformations. I'd like to start with Bourdieu's theory, which provides a context for the role networks play in a person's life.
Yeah, so what do you think? I think it's wonderful. Artificial intelligence can make you look beautiful, can allow you to select a perfect accent. You also can choose the tone, so you can design
I know the smile of beautiful AI woman. So I saw that.
Okay. So, and this is an introduction to the area of my interest and my expertise, which is digital and green transformation. And today I was so fortunate because at the beginning of the day so many people mentioned this as a very important themes for us to address. So, but I guess I'm here as a member of UNESCO UNEVOC network. So it is an additional network working at the same issues as a Skillsman. And I think that I introduced here the Bourdieu theory. And he was talking on the social structures of society and how important different capital is for our existence. And one of the capital is a social capital. And social capital depends on the groups we belong to. And what we can get from these groups depend on the volume, how many people are involved, and also on the quality of each individual that belongs to this group. So I think that it is very, very relevant to the theme of our forum today, because we are talking about the networks and how they can contribute to solving problems that we are facing today and probably will face in the future. So I think that our social networking is really a tool, because you suggest for us to look in the future and what can we do. And I just want to provide a number of examples from the different network and how it works and why it has been so successful. So it is UNESCO UNEVOC network. It has a center in Bonn, but it also have UNEVOC centers around the whole world. And we are also structured in different clusters. So we have a cluster in Asia, and we have meetings. Also, we have initiatives from the center and initiatives from the individual UNEVOC centers. We have very close links between different members, and we're working on different topics. And what is also interesting that we have different type of membership, so it can be a research center, or it can be vocational education institution, or the ministry. And I think that this diversity brings the richness into our network. So we have been working on the topic of greening, of course, for a long time, and now I'm going back to 2010 maybe, when we start really focusing on that area. And he also asked us to reflect on the problems. So the problems changed as the time passed. Because when we start at the beginning, basically no one knows what do we mean by greening, vocational education, what do we mean by green skills, green jobs. Actually, we did a study with the Asian Development Bank, and Shanti was involved, and we are looking what's happening in the region in terms of greening, and then it was what is greening. So now the problems are totally different, because people understand what do we mean by greening, but they want to have practical tools and approaches how we can actually tackle the problems that relates to that. And actually last week it was a gathering in Bonn, and UNEVOC members who are focusing on greening were there, and were sharing experiences. And I think that was really, really nice, similar to what's happening here today. And just one example, I think that it is really important to improve the capacity of teachers to deliver that. And we have been doing this capacity development for a number of years, and one of the recent projects was across 7 UNEVOC centers, and we led it, and we had partners from Saudi Arabia, Philippines, Mongolia, China, Nigeria. And so we actually trying to do this online, but we also have coordinators on the ground, so altogether it works really well. We trained 166 person through this, and now we will have a webinar to see what sort of impact we have, because we ask them to develop resources that are relevant for their context, because of course every country is different, and the level of greening is also different in each country. So on the 11th of October, we will have a webinar where the members will share what they have been doing, how they changed their curriculum, for example, and also what is important, how to change pedagogy, because when we are talking about skills for the future, again, it has been told so many times that they're sort of a set of skills, but we don't know exactly what skills do we need to train. So that's why it is important to look at these foundational skills, technical skills, and in terms of greening, I believe it is really important to talk about generic green skills that are in the foundation of all training, all learning for students, teachers, and communities also. And these generic green skills, they just provide you understanding of what do we mean by greening processes and how people can contribute towards that. And also the basis of all this is awareness and a positive attitude towards sustainability. And as Giovanni said today, Sustainable Development Goals is our vision. This is what we would like to develop in our students. And these generic green skills actually helps people to achieve that. And I noticed that this is 5-minute warning, so probably I should stop unless you want me to say something more.
No, I'm happy already because you have given us a huge flowery bouquet from UNEVOC, and I like that you said that the problems are changing permanently. I am sitting on the table with people from Ukraine, and a colleague said there, first COVID-19 was coming, and then the Russian aggressors. So what is coming next, he said. So it's very interesting. But next is at the moment Julian coming. Please, Julian, explain where you are from and go through the questions.
Thank you, Urs, for inviting me to this conversation. As some of you already know, my name is Julian. I am the president of the International Vocational Education and Training Association, or IVETA. And as Professor Hauenstein likes to do it, so will I this time. I will try and disrupt this conversation and invite you all to rethink your narratives. So what I decided to do really was to look at the key themes of this conference, and I'd like to address these themes. And the first theme is micro-credentials. Let's not kid ourselves that this is some new amazing thing that has just been invented. This has been going on for centuries, okay? Particularly in my field, vocational education and training, because people have been training everybody bit by bit in all manners of ways. They just didn't formalize it with a particular name called micro-credentials. Still, I am pleased that higher education institutions and governments are taking this more seriously now and seeing the value that there is value in learning, no matter how informal, non-formal, or incidental. So therefore, I'm pleased that there are now different standards and frameworks coming out, which will hopefully give us a way forward. But by the same token, I would invite you all to rethink the concept of degrees, because inherently they were all academic in nature. Are we trying to basically stuff a completely different engine into a traditional car chassis and still call it a degree, when actually maybe we need to disrupt the way we look at degrees or learning in general? Now let's look at green and digital transitions. I mean, topics du jour, as we know. We can't affect it because it is being rammed down our throats by the media and by governments. Yes, we know it's important, but how can we effect change if we don't change our own paradigms about it, if we don't change our own behaviors about this? And this starts with education, because as we all know, education is a change in behavior. So once we change the mindset and we understand the significance of this, then hopefully we can lead to a change in innovation. And talking about innovation and entrepreneurship, which is the next point, well, in terms of vocational education and training, what is really the most important element? If I ask you, what does an engineer do? Don't say an engineer engineers. Well, actually, why does he engineer? He engineers because he wants to solve a problem. And therefore, problem solving is one of the key mindsets we need to have. And that's what education should be doing, helping us to problem solve. And that drives innovation. And somebody put up a slide earlier on about artificial intelligence. There's no need to fear it, only to fear that we are going to not promote our natural intelligence because it is useless, or it cannot be optimally used without natural intelligence. Social inclusion and networking. Okay, well, we all know the world is becoming more and more diverse, and we're not just talking about all the usual things like age, gender, diversity. We are starting younger, we're living longer. We really need to inclusify education, and that also means we need to increase access to education for everybody involved. And maybe we also need to work together to co-create the knowledge and the world that we want to live in. As Esmu Tikpati sings.
Many thanks. And I have artists there. I think I'm a businessman from Switzerland, and we're looking to our time quality, of course, and I think we still have 1 minute. So at the beginning he tried to kill me, you know, but now we still have 1 minute. You have seen how people has worked for us and for our panel 2 together, and I'm very grateful that you were here in this panel and you have given so many important ideas and goals and as well mentioned problems where we have to go through to come, and I want to repeat that we can go to a good future. And Skillman is one of the managers of this, because we are the network of the networks. Many thanks.